Sairam, welcome back. Okay, sit straight. Take a deep breath in. Sairam. Last time we talked about prana. We're going to continue that talk about prana. You know, we talked about prana is the life energy. It is the energy which gives us the strength to do anything. Not only the strength to physically do something, but the strength to think, the strength to discriminate, the strength of willpower. Everything is because of prana. It is. Now prana, we talked about it comes from the sun, right? In one sense. In a spiritual sense, they say it comes from Atma itself. It is Atma itself, like that. But that energy gets dissipated, gets reduced because of thinking, because of attachments, because of desires, because of cravings. All of these things waste energy, that pranic energy. And when we spend our lives running behind these worldly attachments, the pranic energy in the body is less. Now that's a problem for us, because when you die, depending on the strength of that energy, depending on the reservoir, the amount of energy that you've stored up in the body depends on your next birth. If you have very low spiritual energy, because you've wasted your time behind a lot of sensuous desires, behind a lot of desires in the mind, cravings of the mind, because of a lot of attachments that led to a lot of emotional outbursts, a lot of anger, jealousy, you know, all of these things create less energy. And when you have less energy at the time of your death, that energy doesn't have the strength to go up in the body. Instead, it dissipates, it goes out the various holes of the body. The lower part, if it goes out the lower part, then you may be born as a rock. You may be born as a low-life insect or a bird or an animal, you know, like this. I don't think you want to be born like that again. You've come so far up the evolutionary ladder to be born as a human. Finally, you have an option of coming closer to God, even merging with God. You don't want to go back down again. So control of that energy is important. If you're able to have a little bit more restraint in your body, a little bit more discipline in your life, you control things a little bit better, then maybe the energy goes out at the time of the death through the upper part of the body. Maybe through the mouth or the nose or the eyes or the ears. That's a little bit better. But if you live the life of spiritual life, a life of awareness, a life of saving that energy, that reservoir of prana, having less thoughts, less emotions, you're more samadhana, equal-minded. And then that energy, through udana, will come up to the top of the head and out the brahmananda at the time of death. Then there's no more rebirth. You're free, you've merged with the divine. You come from the divine, merge in the divine. It's something like the ocean is the divine, no? And the sun heats up the ocean, and the water vapor goes up into the sky, forms the clouds in the sky, and then comes down as rain, pure rain. That rain is very pure. There's nothing more pure than rain. But when it hits the ground and it mixes up with the earth, it gets a little polluted. And then goes through and makes into little rivulets and then rivers. You know, these streams go into rivers and all like this. It gets polluted more and more. But finally it makes its way back to the ocean. When it merges in the ocean, all of that pollution is dissolved. You know, it becomes one with its source. So that's what we want to do. We want to get back to one with its source. But for that we should have some purity, like this. So, if we say that more thoughts, restlessness of mind, tension, stress, anxiety, these are all the things that take away your energy, your pranic energy. In fact, sometimes the tension, the stress, and all like this, they create blockage in the nadi network. Now, what is this nadi network? Nadi network is also called the Pranamayakosa. Pranamayakosa. It is the second of the 5 koshas. The first one is the body, Annamayakosa, sustained by food. Next one is Pranamayakosa, sustained by prana. The prana circulates in the body through these nadi network, these small channels. And just like we have blood circulating through the veins and the arteries in the system, we also have prana circulating in the body through these subtle networks, like that.
The energy body forms with more than 72,000 nadis, or energy tubes, which runs all across the body. All these energy tubes start from the top of the head region.
What happens if you have some tension, some stress, some anxiety, some fear? This creates this kind of restriction of those nadis. When the nadis are constricted, which means they close up, you can't get the prana to flow freely through it. That's what happens in a heart attack, you know? The veins and the arteries get plugged up because of wrong kinds of food that we eat, tension or stress, and those veins become smaller and smaller and smaller, and it puts more pressure on the heart to try and pump through that smaller area. You know? The end product is the heart says, I quit, and it stops beating. Then you have what they call a heart attack. It's all because of this tension and stress and wrong styles of life that creates this. So the same thing is true with prana. If you have the tension and the stress, anxiety, the fear in your mind, it also creates a kind of constriction of these nadis. Sometimes they get even blocked. When they get blocked, then you got problems. It manifests as some stiffness, some pain, some discomfort, sometimes some organ failure, like that. So you want to keep your mind free. You want to get sufficient prana so that your body is healthy and strong and your mind is clear. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace to this body, peace to this mind, peace to my heart within. Thank you, God. Thank you, dear Lord. Thank you, dear Lord, for everything. Jai Bolo Sadguru Sai Shankar Ki Jai.